In the heart of an ancient, sun-drenched valley, where the mountains whispered secrets to the wind, lived an elderly gardener named Elias. His hands were mapped with the deep lines of 1,000 harvests, and his back was slightly bowed from years of labor, yet his spirit was as vibrant as a spring meadow. To Elias, life was a symphony of small duties. Chief among them was the morning ritual of the water. Each day, before the sun had even managed to crest the purple peaks of the eastern range, Elias would hoist a heavy yoke across his weathered shoulders. Suspended from the ends of this wooden beam by thick hemp ropes were 2 large ceramic urns. The 2 vessels. On the right side hung Caspian. He was a magnificent specimen of pottery, tall, broad-shouldered, and glazed in a deep cobalt blue that shimmered like a calm sea. Caspian was structurally perfect. Not a single pore in his clay body allowed moisture to seep through. He prided himself on his integrity. When Elias filled him at the distant forest spring, Caspian ensured that every single drop remained trapped within his cool walls until they reached the gardener's kitchen. On the left side hung Elara. She was older than Caspian, her surface a warm, earthy terracotta. But Elara bore a heavy burden, a jagged, lightning bolt crack that ran from her midsection down toward her base. It was an old wound, the result of an accidental drop years prior. Because of his fracture, by the time Elias completed the arduous 2-mile trek from the spring to his cottage, Elara was always half empty, the shadow of perfection. For 2 long years, this routine continued. Caspian's ego grew with every successful trip. He would sit on the kitchen bench, boasting to the other household tools. "Efficiency is the soul of existence," Caspian would declare, his voice echoing with a hollow, metallic ring. "I fulfill my contract with the master to the letter. I am reliable. I am consistent. I am whole." Then he would cast a sidelong, mocking glance at Elara. It must be exhausting, Elara, to be so insufficient. To watch the master's hard work literally slip through your fingers every single day. Why do you suppose he keeps a broken thing like you around? You're just extra weight for half the result. Elara never argued. She couldn't. The logic seemed indisputable. She felt the master's heavy footsteps. She felt the sweat from his brow as he labored under the yoke. To know that half of that struggle was in vain because of her defect was a source of agonizing shame. She lived in a shroud of silent apology, her heart as cracked as her clay. The breaking point. One morning, the weight of her perceived uselessness became too much to bear. As Elias dipped her into the crystal-clear waters of the spring, the cool liquid touching her fracture felt like salt in a wound. "Master," she whispered, her voice cracking like dry parchment. Elias paused, his hands resting gently on the yoke. "Yes, little one, I am so deeply sorry," Elara sobbed, a fresh stream of water leaking from her side to join the spring. "I am a failure. For 2 years, I have watched you walk this long path, and for 2 years, I have wasted half of your precious water. I am broken, master. I am a burden. Please, replace me with a vessel that can actually do the job you deserve." Elias didn't look angry. In fact, a soft, knowing smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. "Elara," he said kindly, "as we walk back today, I want you to stop looking inward at your flaws. Instead, look outward. Look at the ground on your side of the path, the revelation of the road." As they began the journey home, the sun finally broke over the mountains, bathing the world in gold. Elara did as she was told. For the first time, she noticed that the left side of the trail, her side, was an explosion of life. There were delicate primroses, vibrant marigolds, and sweet-scented jasmine. Butterflies danced in the mist that rose from the damp earth, and the air was thick with the perfume of 1,000 blossoms. It was a corridor of paradise cutting through the dusty scrubland. She looked across at Caspian's side. It was barren. The earth there was cracked and gray, populated only by stones and dry, yellowing weeds. "Do you see, Alara?" Elias asked, his voice steady and warm. "I have always known about your crack. I didn't see it as a defect. I saw it as an opportunity. Months ago, I scattered the seeds of the most beautiful flowers I could find, but I only planted them on your side of the road. Every day, while Caspian kept his water to himself, you were busy. You were a traveling rain cloud. You nurtured these seeds. You gave them a drink when the sun was too hot. You are the reason I have beauty to look at while I work." The transformation. When they reached the cottage, Caspian was uncharacteristically silent. The perfect. Ern looked at the flowers clinging to Elias's boots, and then at Alara. He realized that while he had been focused on being a container, Alara had been a gardener. Caspian turned to her, his voice no longer mocking but filled with a new, quiet respect. "I called you a burden," he whispered, "but the master didn't need 2 containers of water. He needed one to sustain his body and one to sustain his soul. I am sorry, Alara. Your weakness is a gift I could never give him." Alara felt the shame lift from her like a heavy mist evaporating in the sun. She realized that her crack wasn't a hole to be fixed, but a channel to be used. From that day forward, the 2 vessels traveled the path in a different kind of harmony. Caspian carried the water for the tea and the cooking, proud of his strength. Alara leaked her water onto the thirsty soil, proud of her flowers. And Elias, the wise gardener, walked between them, his heart full, knowing that in his world there was no such thing as broken. There was only differently purposeful.